Red Bull's owner wants Max Verstappen gone. That is the claim threatening to turn one of Formula One's greatest partnerships into a full-scale power struggle. But the most shocking part is this. There is still no confirmed statement proving that any Red Bull owner has ordered Verstappen out. No official removal. No verified ultimatum. No confirmed departure date. And yet, the warning signs keep growing. Adrian Newey is no longer part of Red Bull's technical future. Gianpiero Lambiase has become one of the most important links keeping Verstappen connected to the team. Questions about Max's exit timeline refuse to disappear. And Verstappen can do something almost no driver can threaten seriously. He can walk away from Formula One completely. That gives him more power than any contract, any owner, and any rival offer. So the real danger is not that Red Bull is forcing Verstappen to leave. It is that Red Bull may be losing the people, stability, and trust that once made leaving impossible. And when the final clue connects everything, this no longer looks like a transfer rumor. It looks like the end of an era. Subscribe to the channel. For years, Max Verstappen looked like the one driver Red Bull could never afford to lose. He was not simply their fastest man. He became the center of the entire operation. The car was developed around his feedback. The strategy was shaped around his championship campaigns. Every major success seemed to strengthen the idea that Verstappen and Red Bull were no longer just partners. They were part of the same identity. When Red Bull won, Max became the face of that victory. When Red Bull struggled, everyone waited for his reaction. That is what happens when one driver becomes more important than a normal racing seat. He stops being one part of the team. He becomes the standard used to judge the entire team. And that creates power. A lot of power. But power inside Formula One is rarely comfortable. The owners control the organization. The leadership controls the structure. The engineers control the technical direction. But the driver controls something nobody else can easily reproduce. Performance at the absolute limit. A team can build the car. It can choose the strategy. It can collect huge amounts of data. But someone still has to deliver when the tires are fading, the pressure is rising, and one small mistake could destroy the entire weekend. That is where Verstappen's value becomes almost impossible to measure. He is not only important because he is fast. He is important because Red Bull can trust him to expose the real level of the car. When Max wins, the team knows the package is working. When Max struggles, the team has fewer places to hide. If Verstappen cannot extract more, the problem may not be the driver. It may be the machine. And that gives him enormous influence. Now think about what that does to the balance inside Red Bull. At the beginning of his journey, Verstappen needed the team. He needed the opportunity. He needed the car. He needed the support. Now the relationship looks completely different. Red Bull needs Verstappen to believe the organization still deserves more of his career. That reversal changes everything. A young driver may accept uncertainty. A champion does not have to. A young driver may wait through a rebuilding period. A champion knows every season matters. A young driver needs the team's confidence. A champion can force the team to prove itself. And Verstappen has already reached that position. He has championships. He has victories. He has a legacy. He does not need another contract to prove that he belongs. That is why the claim about a Red Bull owner wanting him gone feels believable to some people. When one driver becomes that powerful, people assume someone at the top will eventually push back. Perhaps the owners want more control. Perhaps they do not want the team to depend so heavily on one person. Perhaps they believe Verstappen's influence has become too large. Those ideas are dramatic. But the available information does not confirm them. There is no verified statement from a Red Bull owner ordering Verstappen to leave. There is no confirmed demand to remove him. There is no official announcement saying his time with the team is over. And that distinction matters. Because Formula One rumors often begin with one real tension, then jump toward a conclusion the evidence does not support. The real tension is not that Red Bull has clearly decided to force Verstappen out. The real tension is that Red Bull may no longer control whether he stays. And that is far more serious. An owner can reverse a decision. A team can repair a disagreement. A contract can be renegotiated. But once a driver begins losing faith in the entire structure around him, the problem becomes harder to see, harder to measure, and much harder to repair. Trust does not usually disappear in one dramatic moment. It weakens slowly. One trusted figure leaves. Another person changes roles. A technical decision creates doubt. A rival project begins to look more convincing. Then the driver starts asking questions he never needed to ask before. Can this team still give me what I need? Can it survive major change? Can it remain competitive? Can it build a future stronger than its past? Those are the questions now surrounding Verstappen. And the first person who helps explain them is Gianpiero Lambiase. To most viewers, a race engineer is simply the voice heard over the radio. A message about tires. A warning about traffic. A strategy instruction. A gap to the car ahead. But for Verstappen, Lambiase is much more than that. He is the connection between the driver and the entire team. When the tires begin losing performance, Lambiase delivers the information. When the strategy changes, he explains the decision. When another car is closing, he gives the warning. When Verstappen becomes frustrated, Lambiase has to choose the exact words that keep the situation under control. That relationship takes years to build. A new engineer can study the data. He can listen to old radio messages. He can learn every procedure. But learning the driver is different. It means understanding what one short sentence really means. It means knowing when Verstappen needs more detail. It means recognizing whether his frustration will disappear in seconds, or whether it points toward a deeper problem with the car. That kind of trust cannot be replaced quickly. Imagine running through a crowded station while someone guides you through an earpiece. You cannot stop. You cannot ask for a long explanation. You need the person speaking to understand exactly where you are, what you can see, and how quickly you can react. Now imagine doing that at enormous speed, with a championship depending on every instruction. That is why Lambiase matters. He represents familiarity. He represents communication. He represents a part of Red Bull that still feels stable. And reports about Red Bull keeping Lambiase closely connected to Verstappen reveal something important. The team understands that Max's loyalty is not protected by a contract alone. It is protected by the environment around him. The people he trusts. The car he understands. The leaders he believes in. The feeling that the entire operation remains under control. But here is where the warning becomes difficult to ignore. When a team must work hard to protect those conditions, it suggests those conditions no longer feel guaranteed. Nobody checks whether the floor is solid until they begin to feel movement. Nobody works so carefully to preserve a relationship unless they understand what could happen if it breaks. Keeping Lambiase close does not prove Red Bull wants Verstappen gone. It suggests the opposite. It suggests Red Bull knows one more important change could make leaving easier. But awareness does not guarantee control. A team can desperately want a driver to stay and still create the conditions that push him away. That can happen without one owner giving an order. A trusted figure leaves. Another relationship becomes uncertain. The technical direction changes. The future becomes harder to predict. And the driver begins looking beyond the next race. Not because someone told him to leave. Because the environment no longer feels secure. That is the deeper power struggle. It is not Verstappen against one owner. It is Verstappen's trust against Red Bull's ability to preserve the system around him. And Lambiase is only the first clue. Because he represents confidence during the race. The next figure represents confidence in everything Red Bull must build after it. And that figure is Adrian Newey. For years, Newey represented more than technical brilliance inside Red Bull. He represented certainty. The certainty that when Formula One changed, Red Bull could change with it. The certainty that when rival teams found speed, Red Bull could respond. The certainty that when the car developed a weakness, someone inside the organization understood how to solve it. That kind of confidence matters to every driver. For Max Verstappen, it matters even more. Because a world champion does not only judge the car he has today. He judges the car the team will build next. And the one after that. Formula One moves too quickly for any driver to survive by trusting the past. A car can dominate one season, then become vulnerable the next. A regulation change can erase an advantage. A poor technical decision can cost months. A missed development direction can cost years. And this is where Red Bull's future becomes much harder to predict. Newey was never the only person creating the car. No Formula One machine is designed by one individual. Hundreds of engineers, aerodynamicists, mechanics, analysts, and technical leaders contribute to the final result. But certain people influence the way an entire organization thinks. They recognize problems before those problems become obvious. They understand which ideas deserve more time. They know when the data is telling the full story, and when experience is warning that something has been missed. That kind of judgment is difficult to replace. A team can change a name on an organization chart. It can promote another engineer. It can divide responsibilities between several departments. But it cannot instantly transfer years of instinct. Imagine a ship that has crossed the same dangerous ocean many times. The crew knows the route. The maps still exist. The equipment remains on board. But the person who always recognized the storm before anyone else has left. The ship may still reach its destination. It may even travel faster. But when the weather changes, everyone discovers whether the system was truly strong, or whether it depended on one person seeing danger first. That is the test Red Bull now faces. And Verstappen will feel the answer before anyone outside the garage. He will feel it under braking. He will feel it when the front of the car refuses to turn. He will feel it when the rear becomes unpredictable. He will feel it when one small weakness forces him to compromise 3 other parts of the lap. That is why technical confidence becomes personal. A driver does not experience an organization chart. He experiences the car. Every decision made inside the factory eventually reaches his hands, his feet, and his confidence. If the technical structure remains strong, Verstappen has a reason to believe. If it weakens, no statement from an owner can hide it from him. And this is where Aston Martin becomes impossible to ignore. Newey's connection with Aston Martin does not prove Verstappen will follow him. It does not confirm a secret agreement. It does not mean Max has already chosen another team. But it creates a possibility that changes the pressure inside Red Bull. A rival project now has access to one of the technical minds most closely associated with Red Bull's greatest success. That does not guarantee Aston Martin will win. Formula One is never that simple. One person cannot build an entire championship operation alone. One major signing cannot instantly create the perfect car. One ambitious project cannot become dominant through promises. But Aston Martin does not need to guarantee success. It only needs to create belief. The belief that the future may be moving toward them. And that is where Red Bull becomes vulnerable. Red Bull can point toward championships. It can point toward victories. It can point toward dominant seasons. It can point toward everything Verstappen and the team achieved together. But those achievements belong to the past. A driver deciding his future must look forward. He must ask which team will understand the next generation of cars. Which organization will react fastest when the competitive order changes? Which leadership group will remain united under pressure? And which project will still be improving when the championship becomes difficult? That forces Verstappen to compare 2 very different risks. The risk of staying with a team that has already proven itself, but is losing familiar pieces. And the risk of joining a team that has not yet reached the same level, but is building something new. Neither option is safe. Staying can look loyal. But loyalty becomes expensive if the project begins falling behind. Leaving can look ambitious. But ambition can become regret if the new project never delivers. And waiting may feel sensible. But waiting can cost the one thing even a world champion cannot recover: time. A Formula One career can appear long from the outside. But the number of seasons spent at the absolute peak is limited. One poor technical cycle can remove championship opportunities. 1 year of patience can become 2, then 3. And by the time the team recovers, the strongest years of the driver's career may already be gone. That is why Verstappen's possible exit timeline matters so much. An exit timeline does not always mean a departure date has already been chosen. Sometimes it means the driver has created conditions. He stays while the car remains competitive. He stays while the technical direction feels believable. He stays while the people he trusts remain close. He stays while the organization keeps proving that every major departure can be absorbed. But every condition has a limit. And once that limit is reached, the decision can change quickly. That is the hidden pressure now surrounding Red Bull. Every race is more than a race. Every technical problem becomes part of the argument. Every upgrade becomes part of the argument. Every leadership decision becomes part of the argument. Every improvement from Aston Martin becomes part of the argument. Verstappen is not only watching lap times. He is watching behavior. He is watching whether Red Bull reacts with confidence. He is watching whether technical problems are solved or merely explained. He is watching whether new leaders create stability. He is watching whether the team protects the relationships that matter. And he is watching whether the organization still feels like a championship team when the pressure becomes uncomfortable. That may be the most important detail. Power inside Formula One is not only about ownership. It is also about credibility. An owner can approve money. An owner can demand results. An owner can change leadership. But an owner cannot force a driver to believe. Belief must come from evidence. A car that improves. A team that remains calm. A technical group that understands its weaknesses. A future that feels stronger than the uncertainty surrounding it. Without that evidence, authority has limits. Red Bull's owners may control the company. They may control the budget. They may control the appointments. But Verstappen controls his own confidence.